on for Washington and voting rights is happening tomorrow. Get ready to see what's expected to be thousands of people taking to the streets of D.C. And this year's message is a bit different than in years past. 7 News' John Gonzalez spoke with organizers about the message they want to send. John?
That's right, Ashley. The movement is the same, the mission, but the message is a little different. And all of these marches and events will pretty much run all day tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And one of the major groups will be here at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. In fact, Martin Luther King III, Yolanda King, and Al Sharpton will be here at the MLK Memorial. 140 organizations are taking part in this. Several groups have applied for permits to march on what will be the 58th anniversary of Dr. King's historic March on Washington, and of course, that famous I Have a Dream speech. This time, the march is for voting rights. The National Action Network also has events planned in other cities around the country. Take a look. Here's some more info on who will be here. The Douglas Commonwealth Coalition plans to begin their march early tomorrow morning at Freedom Plaza. 51 for 51, a D.C. Statehood group, will gather over at McPherson Square and will march through Black Lives Matter Plaza.
After everyone went home after the March on Washington in 1963, the residents of the District of Columbia were left behind without any congressional representation. But now, we're not just marching on Washington, we're marching for Washington, and that means we're marching for the people of Washington, D.C. And 51 for 51 is proud to be a core organizer for this year's March On for Voting Rights.
Now, on Tuesday, the House of Representatives passed the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act of 2021. The bill aims to restore the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And of course, that will be the message, the priority tomorrow. If you want to learn more about the event and all of the road closures and parking restrictions, jump on our website, WJLA.com. We'll get you around it.
Flights are still taking off from Kabul as the U.S. now is racing to evacuate thousands, and that has led to powerful moments at Dulles Airport.
And that's where thousands of refugees have landed in the past week, and more are expected to arrive in the days ahead. 7 News on your side's Annalisa Gale continues our team coverage. She's live at Dulles tonight. And Annalisa, you actually got to witness a family being reunited just hours ago.
Yes, Michelle Jonathan, is definitely a long and emotional day for many families that arrived here at Dulles International Airport. I'm going to step out of the way here. You can still see at this hour their buses waiting for Afghan refugees right now. Today's attack added even more urgency to the efforts underway to help those trying to evacuate.
One by one, buses lined up at Dulles International Airport waiting for at least 200 Afghan refugees.
They've got into the airport probably earlier this morning, and they've been on the tarmac for hours.
Representatives from an organization known as Team Hope instructed them on their next steps.
They've probably been without sleep and a change of clothes for a few days now.
For some, relatives were there when they arrived. Joe waited for his daughters and wife at the airport for nearly 2 days.
I was here yesterday around 8:30 in the morning, and I just slept here overnight. Just waiting for them. We're from Panjshir.
His daughter received a balloon with an American flag when she got there. Their reunion came hours after suicide attacks outside the Kabul airport, which killed dozens.
Heartbroken. Heartbroken. It's a shame. I feel relieved that my family's back.
Local volunteers and other attorneys in the area are still trying to ensure that other families will soon feel that same relief. Fredericksburg immigration attorney Jennifer Cervantes is assisting more than 36 families.
By the hour, we're getting more and more families calling, pleading with us to get their families out.
She says the recent attack may hinder their efforts.
Today has been a hard day. We have a lot of major setbacks trying to get families out of there, but we are trying really hard. I just feel like as many as we can try to save is kind of the goal.
And the dozens of families who are arriving from Afghanistan at this hour are being sent to the Dulles Expo Center, where there is a temporary shelter set up there.
A new development today in a 7 News I-Team investigation into security at National Harbor. A former security guard has filed a federal discrimination lawsuit against National Harbor and its security company.
As Scott Taylor reports, that man says he suffered retaliation on the job after blowing the whistle to 7 News.
2 years ago, National Harbor and its security contractor, Metropolitan Protective Services, were the focus of a 7 News I-Team investigation after MPS hired Gerald Griffith, a convicted Tier 3 child sex offender, to train workers in charge of security at National Harbor.
It's beyond unbelievable. I'm appalled.
Former MPS security guard Brian Askew blew the whistle on the hiring and says that led to retaliation at his job. Askew just filed a federal lawsuit against National Harbor and MPS.
After it was aired, they moved me to a parking lot, subjected me to scrutiny, and subjected me to all of these other terms and conditions other than my employment.
Askew claims he was assigned to sit in a patrol car overnight and guard MPS's corporate office and wasn't given a key to use the building's restroom.
Several times where they did not leave keys in the car for me, and I had to relieve myself in a jar.
He claims his race and sexuality was also the focus of abuse, claiming a MPS supervisor said, "He's too gay for me anyway, and you need to go back into the field."
Don't be afraid to speak up, because somebody else may be experiencing the same thing.
We reached out to MPS, who has no comment on the lawsuit.
Askew isn't the only one who has issues with National Harbor and MPS. Another security guard just filed a second federal lawsuit.